Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We got Joe Rogan talking about the UK and, funny enough, making a comparison to Russia. Now, not in the way that you're thinking as soon as I say that. The comparison that the UK seems to be doing worse or doing more in regards to censorship than Russia. But mostly Joe Rogan just goes off about the UK and what kind of calamity it's in. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's things like this.
If you're refusing to do that, it's not going to be necessary to ask you those questions. No, it's not going to be. We'll have to arrest you all these last. Well, arrest what crime? What crime? What crime?
Tell me my crime. 127. Which says what?
Which says what?
Where you post something that causes gross offence or of a menacing character, which causes a person anxiety.
Is that what it says?
Yes, it does.
How is a flag? How is a flag grossly offensive?
What I'll do, sir.
How's the flag grossly offensive? We're discussing that with you.
Why are you doing this? You shared it.
Now, this is an argument that they're having about arresting this man because he posted a British flag on Facebook, and it gives somebody, possibly gives somebody, anxiety. And that is enough to get you hauled off into a police station and processed and all of that. So that's what you're going to hear Joe Rogan talking about right now. Let's jump into that, and then I'm going to show you some more stuff in regards to the UK and everything that they've been doing, and even one weird curveball that they've recently done through their Supreme Court. Let's go.
Dedicated to crime in Guatemala, and now they're here, and now they're selling fentanyl, and they're not going to stop. Okay,
they don't give a f.
And they're on EBT cards where you're getting money from the government for free every month because you're in a sanctuary city and you get free food and you're a criminal. And then one of them, like two of them, assaulted cops in New York City and then got free. No cash bail. No cash bail. You just get out. They assaulted cops and then they're on the street giving the Tupac to the camera. You ever see that?
No, Joe.
Bro, it's
what?
Crazy. First of all, we got to show you the Kamala Harris lady. You got the Kamala Harris lady? You can't find it? They probably scrubbed it from the internet. She's being shamed.
I'm not really sure what to look for, but
You're putting the tinfoil hat on my head right now. Like, that's how I'm feeling.
We don't have to show it. It's because we've already showed it a bunch of times. It's how you would do it if you wanted to destroy America. I'm not saying. So the question becomes like, how much of it is our own folly? How much of it is just natural human behavior? How much of it is like the right wants law and order, so we don't want law and order. The right wants to punish prisoners. We want to. No, it's racist. Racism. It's like, what is it?
But that's just teams fighting. That's
yeah. But also, I feel like it's manipulated as well, and maybe more so than anything else. I feel like it's manipulated. And again, if you wanted to turn us into China, and what I mean by that is a country that's facial recognition everywhere, social credit score system that's attached to all of your banking, your ability to travel, everything you do. If you make anything online that's against the government, you could be disappeared, you could be locked up, you could be made a political prisoner. This is fun.
It felt like we were heading that way.
Yeah, I think this is something that, I think it was Metzger that said this. No, it was Duncan that said this about Ukraine and Russia. He was like, do you realize, like, the Ukrainians that we're killing, or that rather the Russians that we're killing by sending over arms and money to fund the Ukrainians. Not saying that we shouldn't do this, but he's saying that a lot of those guys are being forced to go to the front line. And a lot of those guys are prisoners who get released in order to fight. So what if you're a prisoner because you wrote a bad tweet against Putin and they lock you up, and then all of a sudden Ukrainians are killing you with American weapons because you tweeted bad against Putin. So it's Putin's way of like eliminating any dissent from like, and they don't even arrest that many people online in comparison to, or for doing things online in comparison to the UK. The UK is getting in on it full steam ahead. The UK is arresting people for anything that makes people uncomfortable online. They show up at your house and just fucking arrest you. They've arrested, like, how many people have been arrested in the UK for social media posts in the last year? It's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna blow your mind. This is just posts on social media, like, we need to send these illegal immigrants back, saying shit like that.
Yeah,
you get arrested, hate crimes.
Even if I'm joking, even if I'm just having.
There's no jokes, no jokes online anymore. Not in the UK. Not only that, but the guy who's the head of the UK They're saying now that they could potentially arrest Americans who have posted things online when they visit the UK. Yeah, I was reading a post about this. Like this law could potentially be used in this way. That if you are a person in America and you're posting horrible shit about the UK government or the immigrant problem or whatever they have, context behind available information, exact figures 2025, not fully comprehended. 2023. In 2023, 12,183 arrests were made across 37 police forces in the UK under Section 127 of the Communications Act, 2003, and Section 1 of the Malicious Communications Act in 1988, equating to about 33 arrests per day. Laws cover sending grossly offensive, indecent, obscene, or menacing messages via electronic communication networks, which includes social media posts and also DMs. DMs. So people get arrested for horrible DMs that nobody gets to see other than the friend that you're sending it to, supposedly.
You have no idea what the context is. That's crazy.
Into this one time recently, it said that a lot of people may have been arrested, but many of them were not prosecuted and were released.
But it's still right. Okay, that's cute. It's still horrifying because what you're.
This guy said to Jamie, "Okay, that's cute." I'm telling you, it seems like they're family by now after so many years, but it seems like Joe's just like, listen, do not fact check me, okay? Do stop pushing back so much, you know?
You're doing is scaring people into compliance. They don't want to be arrested again, and they certainly don't want to risk being prosecuted. But they're forcing people to censor themselves.
I read it said that they were breaking the law. I don't know which law
right.
they're breaking.
Well, no, they do have a law. They don't have freedom of speech the way we have in America. So they do have these hate speech laws. So they are breaking a law. But the question is, should that law exist? And I say no. No, that law should not exist. You shouldn't be able to put someone in a cage for saying, and some of them are not that offensive. Some of them are pretty fucking calm. Only a 1,119 sentences occurred for these offenses. Okay, but the problem is now go look at how many people were arrested in Russia for social media posts. It's drastically less. But we think of Russia as being the country that censors people and
China and Russia.
Which
that's
they
what you
do.
think.
Which they do. You can't criticize Putin. You can't go balls out. You're risking your life. You're in real trouble. Not excusing that. But what they're doing in the UK is at a higher level of magnitude. I mean, maybe they're not torturing people and sending them to the front line of Ukraine, but they are putting the fear of being arrested in people if you say something that they don't want you to say on social media.
The jump from 2016 to 2023 is crazy.
Look at Russia. 2023, 54 people. So in the time where 12,000 people were arrested in the UK, 54 people were imprisoned for online hate speech
this also says
in Russia.
This information isn't very...
Russia's 100% accurate with their...
easy to find.
Shut up, Jamie. From 2010 to 2024, Novaya Gazeta Europe reported over 30,000 criminal and administrative cases related to social media posts, with about 1,200 being criminal cases. So they had 1,200 criminal cases. Common charges include extremism, inciting hatred, or insulting state symbols. That's where it gets sketchy.
I can't even make fun of the flag or a monument. I can't make fun of it?
Nope. Insulting. Making fun is insulting. There's no room for humor in a communist country.
UK sucks, dude.
I mean, but it's not, Russia's not communist really anymore. It's really, it's a military dictatorship, essentially. I mean, Putin was the president, and you could only do a certain amount of time, and then he stopped being the president. He's like, F I'm the president again. And then no one's going to win going against him. I mean, they have elections, but what are you doing? The guys wind up getting poisoned and shot, and they're like, it's old school.
Yeah,
it's old school. He's running that place.
It's his.
That's his. You're not taking over.
Man, I seen that picture of him, shirtless on a horse. I was like, don't f with this dude.
Yeah, he's a killer. He's a former KGB killer. Like, he's like the real deal. He's a judo black belt. He's a bad man.
Yeah.
And he runs that country. And they arrest less people.
Yeah, what the f is going on in the UK?
They're leaning into the same direction that I was talking about that was scaring me about America. I feel like there's a plot. There's a plot to diminish the fabric of society. Like, if you want, okay, let's just look at the whole overall world, and is it fair? It's definitely not fair. There's a reason why these people in these third world countries want to come to Europe and why they want to come to America, because it's better here and it's better there, and they want a better life. I get it. But why are they fleeing where they came from? Well, we bombed the shit out of those places. We bombed the out of
fucked
those
them up.
places. We drone bombed them. We overthrew democratically elected governments with coups. There's a lot of instability that's caused by us. We're like, well, it's our fault. We got to take these people in. I think instead of fucking up this one country by letting everybody come in and drag it down to a third world country, I think a better solution is figure out a way to prop up these other countries the same way. I mean, in a simplistic version of it, like if you want everything for yourself, you're selfish, but you want everything for all your boys too, and everybody gets better.
Yeah.
The whole world gets better. So instead of like shipping off jobs to Mexico where they get $1 a day, maybe pay them real money, pay them what you're supposed to be paying them. Maybe
That is an option, but also an option is sealing your borders to the point where no one can just walk in and everyone has to be processed illegally or legally, sorry. That's also an option. I feel like that's a better option just in regards to a nation like America here that is $37 trillion in debt. There's no more time for that. You know, what Joe's talking about is like, that was the first meeting that USAID ever had. They're like, oh, we're just going to bring them all up to first. That was their first meeting before it all got out of hand and went ridiculous. And all of a sudden it was operas in Colombia and all sorts of nonsense. Just the borders being secure, I think that's good enough for now. You know, get into a surplus first before we worry about the other nations. I think that's the fair thing.
maybe give them health care. Maybe if you are an American citizen and you want to hire someone to do something, you have to hire someone under the same structure of ethics that we agree to in the United States. Period.
Yes.
Period. For all humans all over the world. And if the money translates lower because the American dollar is worth more, okay, but balance it out. Make it that, they can afford food, they can afford housing, they can afford healthcare. Make laws.
Agreed.
And then all of a sudden you prop up the whole world. And the whole world they stop having third world countries, including in the United States. Like, why do we still have ghettos? Why have we put all this money into funding all these different things with like US aid all over the world? And the south side of Chicago has the same amount of murders every year, if not more.
Every year.
Every year. Baltimore, same place. We had a cop in once, way back in the day, that he was a cop in Baltimore. And while they were working one day, he found a rap sheet, like a arrest sheet of all these different crimes that were committed in all these different areas from like the 1970s. And it was all the same shit that's happening today. And he realized, like, oh my God, it's never going to end. Like, you're never going to fix this. It's all the same problems in the same areas and nothing's being done. The same drug arrests, the same violence, the same this, the same that, all in the same places. And all in these areas, mysteriously, all in these same areas that had been redlined during the Jim Crow era, where black people couldn't buy houses where the white neighborhoods are. They had to buy houses in this one area. And those areas are f***ed. And no one's corrected it.
Even now, it doesn't make sense. But do you think that's just that hard to let go of that feeling of I have to be better than somebody? Like, yeah, it's nice to know you're doing better than somebody else. It's something about human beings that they like.
I think it's convenient to ignore people that you're not going to profit from. If you are investing a bunch of money in green energy or you're investing a bunch of money in whatever stupid shit you're doing with windmills, like someone's making money. There's a lot of people making money. There's money being exchanged. If you're fixing South Side of Chicago, if you're like creating community centers and you're like robust education and counseling and providing mentorship and paths to jobs and giving people like an opportunity to make real money that's enticing so they don't want to sell drugs or kill people, like how are you making money doing that? You're not. And so people don't do it. It's that simple.
But it's like what you just...
It's very interesting. Well, you know what? Also to what Joe's saying is that could be a thing, but you have to think about how long has USAID existed? How long has it existed? Because that's been a huge money bit. When did USAID start? Let's see. When did it start? No answer with AI. 1961. There you go. President John F. Kennedy created it by executive order. There you go. JFK started it. 1961. So it was, small then, and it just snowballed into a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger issue. So Maybe now that that's done to an extent, to a very big extent, maybe all of that stuff can happen. But it hasn't happened because it couldn't happen. And in a weird way, nobody wanted it to stop happening. And in a more tinfoil way, there's probably some money put towards it happening. You got to think about that too. You know, I know I'm preaching to the tinfoil choir here. A lot of things are by design. I mean, undeniable. A lot of things are by design. You want to hear crazy things? Here's some crazy things. This is the guy that runs the UK. Listen to what he's happy about.
Over 400 people now have been arrested. 100 have been charged. Some in relation to online activity, and a number of them are already in court. Over 400 people now have been arrested.
He's happy. He's talking about social media posts. That's what he's talking about. People posting flags and DMs. I'm never going there. I'm for sure. He's talking about people can get arrested. Just you're in the UK and you've done something that violated and you did it outside the country. I'm never going over there. The videos that I've made, DMs. Do they have access to DMs? Buddy, I can probably get arrested in multiple countries if you read all through my DMs, you know? So I got to stay put. I'm not going anywhere. But that is what they're celebrating. This is another situation in the UK. It's just one of those, and I know some people don't like him. Some people don't care. But this guy's just a street preacher. That's all he's doing. And guess what happens to him?
Continuing, I just need to finish the message and let people hear about the last part, about repentance from sin, and then I can...
Let's just have a quick
Right.
conversation before you carry on.
Right, okay.
That was what we've been hearing.
So we must... What have you been hearing?
That you've been making.
I have not made any homophobic comments or slurs at all. I've been preaching about repentance from sin.
I've been preaching about repentance from sin on camera. I've been preaching the gospel of God through the Bible, and I've not even mentioned homophobic or anything like that at all. We don't even listen to preaching over here. They said that we're allowed to be here. We're allowed to have this by law, so right to freedom of speech to proclaim the gospel. We're allowed. We haven't said anything homophobic.
And he gets arrested. That's what happens at the end of this. Someone said that you said things, they are uncomfortable, you're getting arrested. That is just a regular thing. I got another gentleman here. He is saying, "Come on, England," while he's in England, walking around in England. This is what happens to him.
Come on, England! Come on, England! York, man! England! What's going on? What's going on? Where comes me? Please, no! What did you do? Lock me up for no, man. There's nothing wrong, man. They were saying England. No, they're walking down the street saying England, and they got arrested. No, man. Locked up for no, boys.
And he's arrested because he was saying, "Come on, England," while being in England around somewhat English people and other cultural enrichment. Another person, apparently, reading this is very odd. Apparently you need a license to watch TV. A man who showed officers in England are going into people's houses to make sure they have licenses to watch TV said he ignored the letter for a personal check-in. They're going to check in on him. He has been notified he will be soon prosecuted. And I'll just let him tell it from there. UK, you need a TV license. It's 169 euros a year to watch or record live TV on any channel, BBC, ITV, etc., or to use BBC iPlayer for anything, live or on demand. Fines are up to $1,000 if caught. And now, apparently, prison. So let him talk about that.
This is what's happening in the UK right now. If you remember a few weeks back, I received a letter about not having a TV licence in the UK. I ignored that letter. This is a follow-up letter. This is real. I received this letter today. We're going to read it together. A follow-up letter. In bold writing, will you be in on the 17th of April? I don't know. Will I? Do I need to be? As there's no record of a TV licence at your address, you should expect a visit from an enforcement officer. Oh. Oh, don't enforce me. Doesn't sound very enforcing. Will you be in on the 17th of April? It may be on the 17th of April, or another day you could be prosecuted. This is real, this is real. They're trying to scare us, but it's not working in the UK. And if no one answers, they can come back. Ah! What if they come back? To stop this happening, buy a TV licence now. No? You will have to pay a fine and go to prison. Lock me up. I ain't paying for a TV licence. I ain't. This is real. This is what's happening in the UK right now. Do you know what I think to this? That's what I think to that.
And it is April 19th, 4:20 a.m. Not making that up. That's just what time it is. And he's probably in jail. Let's be real here. He's probably in jail where they probably have TVs, and now he doesn't need to pay for a TV license. Very odd. Never heard of that before. I was just scouring, looking for some stuff, and that popped up. So that's a weird thing. And that post was made on April 4th. So yeah, that's weird. That's very weird. And now this girl is telling us about Donald Trump and him trying to get freedom of speech to be taken seriously in the UK. And he's trying to use the tariffs as a bit of a bait and switch. I help you here, you give your people freedom of speech.
UK Prime Minister Starmer tries to strike a free trade deal with the US, and Trump says no, not without free speech. Starmer was attempting to avoid Trump's tariffs, but on Sunday night, the US Department of State issued a statement saying it was concerned about freedom of expression in the United Kingdom. This comes after a woman was recently arrested in the UK for silently praying near an abortion clinic. There was also a couple arrested in February of 2025 in the UK for critiquing their children's primary school on WhatsApp messages. The US State Department said US-UK relations share mutual respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. However, as Vice President Vance said, we are concerned about freedom of expression in the United Kingdom. It is important that the UK respect and protect freedom of expression. Because in France, you can get fined 12,500 euros for critiquing Islam. In Germany, they will prosecute you for liking or sharing a post that says something negative about a politician or a public figure. We no longer share Europe's values because they don't protect the most basic thing of free speech. And they should be thanking their lucky stars that Donald Trump understands and values free speech.
I think everybody should be valuing that quite a bit. I know maybe there are some things that were promised that aren't hitting quite like everybody thought. You know, one that I brought up recently was the ICE deportations, the mass deportations. You know, the numbers are not quite where everybody thought it would be. They thought it would be millions and millions, and it's looking like it's just thousands and thousands. Yeah, but you should be thankful for what he's doing, what he's trying to do at the very least. But then the UK comes with a bit of a curveball. The fact that the UK has done this before some Democrat states, leftist states, the fact that they've done this before Canada, this is very odd, crazy. Their Supreme Court ruled unanimously that trans women are not biological women. What?
The meaning of the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010. Do those terms refer to biological women or biological sex? Or is a woman to be interpreted as extending to a trans woman with a gender recognition certificate? By that I mean a person born male who now possesses a gender recognition certificate amending her gender to female, and sex to be interpreted as including what I will refer to as certificated sex. The unanimous decision of this court is that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex. But we counsel against reading this judgment as a triumph of one or more groups in our society at the expense of another. It is not. As I shall explain later in this hand-down speech, the Equality Act 2010 gives transgender people protection not only against discrimination through the protected characteristic of gender reassignment, but also against direct discrimination, indirect discrimination, and harassment in substance in their acquired gender. This is the application of the principle of discrimination by association. Those statutory protections are available to transgender people whether or not they possess a gender recognition certificate.
It's very odd that they did this. And then there's some women here celebrating because that was them talking about it all, but then the vote went through, like I said, and it's a pretty big day for women in general in the UK.
We were in a really difficult place in Scotland then. We thought we were going to see rights for women rolled back, and today the judges have said what we always believed to be the case, that women are protected by their biological sex, that sex is real, and that women can now feel safe that services and spaces designated for women are for women, and we are enormously grateful to the Supreme Court for this ruling.
It's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Can't believe that. Canada hasn't done it. California, you get called a bigot for wanting something like this to happen. New York, same thing, but they also kind of don't care at the same time. You know, a lot of people, very busy, trying not to get pushed in front of a moving subway train. So they don't have much time to focus on stuff like this. But they have the same values as California, pretty much. Very, very odd. This curveball out of nowhere. But, you know, just to talk about what Joe Rogan was talking about. Talking about Russia versus the Ukraine. Now, here, or not the Ukraine, the UK. But here's the thing with Russia. Russia could easily just be disappearing people. Let's be real. They don't have that many arrests because maybe people just disappear. And that's it. The black truck pops up. Everybody's masked up. Next thing you know, you're gone. And nobody knows where you are. That's it. No trace. No face, no trace, you're gone. That could easily be what's happening in Russia. I don't know that. I know they did that to a Vice journalist once, if you can even call someone from Vice a journalist. They took him for a few days. It had to be negotiated to get him back because they thought he was a spy, but he was really just a journalist trying to ask questions. Can't do that there. So they actually did make him disappear. And if the U.S. didn't actually speak up and say, hey, you can't take that person, they might have just made that guy disappear. So that is easily what Russia could be doing. But the UK is on a very dark path. It's on the path that it's a little further down the road than Canada is. And Canada is a little down the road further than California is. But it's like, you gotta watch these roads. But this, again, just a curveball. Didn't think I'd ever see this happen in the UK. I gotta be honest. But yeah, just wanted to bring all that to you guys. Other than that, I am out.